Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परविचार्य अस्तुत्रसत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अबेर चन्नरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, यमुना माई की जय, श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada की जय, Srila Gurudev की जय। Good morning and Hare Krishna. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, North Sydney, Australia. Welcome to our Mayapur TV viewers and ISKCON YouTube Sydney viewers. This morning We are going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 11. And the title of this chapter is called Remembrance of Lord Krishna. And we are reading from text 11. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. I have to put this up. Pradarshaya tapta tapasam Pradarshaya tapta tapasham Avitrapta drasham nirnam Avitrapta drasham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Adhayantar adhat yastu Swabimbam lokalochanam Swabimbam lokalochanam Pradarshaya tapta tapasham Avitripta drasham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Swabimbam lokalochanam Pradarshaya tapta tapasham Avitripta darsham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Swabimbam lokalochanam Darshaya taptatamsham Adiptapta disham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Swabimbam lokalochanam Padayashaya tapasham Avitripta drisham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Swabimbam lochanam Pradarshaya tapta tapasham Avitripta drisham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Swabimbam lokalochanam. Okay. Pradaryasha, by exhibiting, atapta, without undergoing, tapasham, penances, avitripta drisham, without fulfillment of vision, nirnam, of persons, adaya, taking, antaha, disappearance, Adhat, performed. Ya, he who. Tu, but. Swabimbam, his own form. Lokalochanam, public vision. Okay, so we've got the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So translation, Lord Sri Krishna, who manifested his eternal form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him as he is, due to not executing required penance. So we can repeat, Lord Sri Krishna, who manifested his eternal form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him as he is, due to not executing required penance. Okay, so the purport. Okay, in this verse, the word avitripta darsham is most significant. The conditioned souls in the material world are all trying to satisfy their senses in various ways, but they have failed to do so because it is impossible to be satisfied by such efforts. The example of the fish on land is very appropriate. If one takes a fish from the water and puts it on the land, it cannot be made happy by any amount of offered pleasure. Actually, this is a very nice example. The fish on land, I had a personal experience when I was leaving Sri Krishna Kaliya temple in Fiji, and I wasn't really happy about leaving the temple. And I had to come to Sydney. And there's like a sea wall. Krishna Kaliya temple is near the sea, so you can actually take a walk. And Srila Prabhupada actually used to take a walk there, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj also, and walk near the sea wall and do the chanting. So it's a very nice spot for all devotees to chant. And I was chanting over there, and I was thinking, how can I leave Govindji? Because Govindji is the Sri Krishna Kaliya is the presiding deity there, but Govindji is also the next one on the altar. And when a devotee leaves a temple, like if you leave Radha Gopinath permanently, you will feel the separation. So I was thinking like that and meditating, and there was some kind of a fisherman there at the sea wall, and he pulled out a fish, which was very, very horrible to see, because you see the fish suffering. And he brought the fish and he put it on the seawall, and the fish was fluttering and was gasping for the air that it breathes underneath the water, but on land it can't breathe. So it was suffering and it was fluttering. And that example is actually illustrated right here, because a devotee who is separated from Lord Krishna is exactly like that fish. Exactly like that fish. You will not be able to stand the separation. It will be exactly like that fish. And I was meditating on that. I said, why did Krishna, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. So I was thinking, why did Krishna give me this? I was meditating on that. And then I had that realization right there and then, that the fish is suffering for Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada uses this very nice example over here also, that this fish from the water, if you put it on land, it cannot be made happy by any amount of offered pleasure. So if you gave that fish $1 million, it's not going to be happy. So the spirit soul can only be happy in the association of the Supreme Living Being, the personality of Godhead, and nowhere else. So the Lord, by his unlimited causeless mercy, has innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the Brahma Jyoti sphere of the spiritual world. And in that transcendental world, there is an unlimited arrangement for the unlimited pleasure of the living entities. So Krishna has done these planets, in the Vaikuntha planets, just for his devotees, not just for himself. So that we can enjoy the association with him. Because For the spirit soul, there is no other pleasure. For those of us who have separated from Krishna for some reason or other and have to serve and serve somewhere else. Actually, during Corona, we had a lot of this case. A lot of devotees out there. It's still Corona right now. Restrictions. They are waiting to see Gopinath in this way, and they are suffering their own kind of separation. So for the happiness of his devotees, Krishna has developed these Vaikuntha planets where we can, he's made these arrangements so we can enjoy the association with him, which is very nice of him, actually, very kind of him. So the Lord himself comes to display his transcendental pastimes, typically represented at Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka. He appears just to attract the conditioned souls back to Godhead, back home to the eternal world. But for want of sufficient piety, the onlookers are not attracted by such pastimes of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only those who have completely surpassed the way of sinful reaction can engage themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The entire Vedic way of ritualistic performances is to put every conditioned soul on the path of piety. By strict adherence to the prescribed principles for all orders of social life, one can attain the qualities of truthfulness, control of the mind, control of the senses, forbearance, etc. Now these qualities are fast disappearing in Kali Yuga. There's hardly any truthfulness. There's absolutely no control of the mind and control of the senses and forbearance. So it's very, very interesting that our prime ministers, our leaders, they are not so hard and fast on the rules of adherence in the social order. If we were, then at least you will see some truthfulness, some control of the mind. Unfortunately, that's fast dwindling. So, continuing from there, and can be elevated to the plane of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord. That's actually an important point, I think. For those of us who are aspiring to be of service to our deities here, Sri Radha Gopinath, or any deity of Lord Krishna, it's very important to nurture those qualities of truthfulness, control of the mind, control of the senses. We really have to be quite vigilant. And in that case, I personally used to think, when I started off with the Krishna conscious movement, I was always a little bit scared of Krishna. I don't know about the rest of you, but I used to be a bit scared of Krishna, thinking that he's not going to accept my service if I didn't do this right, if I didn't do that right. Maybe he will accept somebody else's service, but not mine. So that was my driving factor for whatever service I did. Actually, it's still there up till now, up till today. If I don't do the right thing, then he will not accept my service. Maybe outwardly, externally, I'm doing something for him. Maybe I'm singing for him, but he's not really listening to me. Or if I'm on the altar. So that was, we all have some kind of driving force behind our service. And mine was always that he's not going to accept it. I don't know why. So that actually made me toe the line a lot. I had to be careful that I always followed whatever Gurudev said and whatever Srila Prabhupada said. I always follow, because I want Krishna to accept my seva, even if it is a tiny seva, which it is. It's very tiny. Anyway, so going on from there, so only by such a transcendental vision are one's material hankerings fully satisfied. When the Lord was present, persons who were able to satisfy their material hankerings by seeing him in true perspective were thus able to go back with him to his kingdom. But those persons who were unable to see the Lord, as he remained attached to material hankerings and were not able to go back home, back to Godhead. When the Lord passed beyond the vision of all, he did so in his original eternal form. That's also interesting. When the Lord passed beyond the vision of all, he did so in his original eternal form. In other words, he went back in his eternal body. Whatever body he was in, he went back there. He didn't leave it behind like the rest of us. So he did so in his original eternal form, as stated in this verse. The Lord left his own body. He did not leave his body, as is generally misunderstood by the conditioned souls. This statement defeats the false propaganda of the faithless non-devotees that the Lord passed away like an ordinary conditioned soul. The Lord appeared in order to release the world from undue burden of the non-believing asurs, and after doing this, he disappeared from the world's eyes. So that ends the purport there. So we'll do a little bit of Mangal Charam. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Nanovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Ham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Va Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyayate Shuddha Shuddhi Nishtabhyam Tasya Vakyanuvadine. Okay, so it's nice to see a few more faces this morning after all the restrictions, so welcome back. It's good to see you all. So this morning's text I was just reading last night. It's about Lord Krishna leaving his body, and there were a few points that just came to mind. When Krishna left his body, he left right after his entire clan, the Vrishnis, they died, and then he left. And I was thinking, wow, this arrangement, and how he made, and what is there to be learned. And the first thing that came to mind was, like, let me do a little bit of research and see how it all happened. Like, so, how his family passed away. Those the valiant warriors, they're really, really good in whatever it is they did. I mean, Krishna had, from the numbers that I remember, it was like 560 million men, his descendants. Not the women, not the old men, not the children, just the men. 560 million. And they were very, very, close with Krishna. They adhered to every single rule, regulations, and they were so dedicated to Krishna in pure devotional service. They loved Krishna so much. Their very life breath hung on Lord Krishna. So in the end, what happened? What happened? And the whole external reason was that Krishna, when he goes back to Godhead, he takes his whole family with him. Now we all know that it was due to the curse by Gandhari, right? When Gandhari lost all her sons in Kurukshetra battle, she was so angry that when she met Lord Krishna after the battle, she said, "May all your clan, your lineage, all your descendants be destroyed." So she gave him a curse right there and then, because she was grieving and lamenting about her sons. So that was curse number one. Right, and then Lord Krishna was actually happy with that curse. Why? Because he wanted to take away all his family with him. It says that whenever Krishna comes, he comes with his entire, entire entourage, all his associates. The demigods, everybody takes birth. Even in the Ramayana, even in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, they all come down. So he came with all his paraphernalia, everybody came, but he wanted to take them back. So he was actually very happy with that curse that Gandhari gave. But that's not actually where it ends. I mean, I was thinking, wow, how is he, how is he making this happen, like his leelas, I mean the ideas he's using, the strategy he's using, we'd never even imagine why you do this. So the other point that I noted was that we know this this very famous saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He comes to annihilate the miscreants, the demons, and the way he did it was in Kurukshetra battle. He annihilated all the demons basically with the help of the 5 Pandavas. So with the 5 Pandavas, he annihilated all the demons, and he got Gandhari to give this curse so that his own people would die. And they were not demons. They were not demons. They were Krishna's family. They were highly elevated souls. They were demigods. And I was like, he had to have an idea. Now, the way it happened, his strategy was that all these sages, it was headed by Narad Muni, of course, sages Maitri, Atri, Marichi, Vashishta Muni, Vishwamitra, all of those sages that you can think of, they all got together and they decided that since Kali Yuga is coming, we're going to do this Mahayagna, these prayers, and with all our pious deeds, the results, the fruit of that yagna, that ceremony, the fruit will be able to help those in Kali Yuga and remove the sinful reactions. So they actually came for the betterment. So they all got together. They went to Vasudev's house, Lord Krishna's father's house. And over there, they were doing this, religious, ritualistic ceremony for that purpose. So this is orchestrated by Krishna, Lord Krishna, of course. And what happens is Lord Krishna's sons, the Kumars, Yadu Kumars they are known as, because it's the Yadu Vansh, Yadu clan. So the Yadu Kumars were having a bit of a game. And in that game, they got, Lord Krishna's wife is Jambavati, one of his wives, main wives, Jambavati. Jambavati is a very dear son, Samba. He's very close to his mother, Samba. He was dressed as a woman. The rest of the boys got together, you know how boys play. So they were playing, they got together and dressed him up as a woman. And in his woman's garb, they made him look like he was expecting a baby. So he looked very pregnant. And in this way, they decided to have a bit of fun with the sannyasis and rishis. So if you can imagine, His Holiness Ramai Swami is here, His Holiness Devamrita Swami is here, and my Guru Veer Krishna Maharaj is here, or any other, Srila Prabhupada is here, and you boys get together and dress somebody up like a woman and come in front of them and say, my dear Acharyas, Gurudev, this boy, this woman, is he going to have a boy or a girl? If you can imagine. So they were very naughty. And they did this to this highly elevated rishis and sannyasis like Narad Muni, like Vashishta Muni, Vishwamitra. So you can imagine, these are the very boys that are raised by Lord Krishna. They're Lord Krishna's sons. They're no one ordinary. So the rishis actually took offense because there is the element of respect that was missing. So you can see that what happened was after the Kurukshetra battle, Lord Krishna's family, the remaining family, they were overconfident about everything, that they were actually slowly eroding the boundaries of respect. because they were so confident in the family that they slowly, the respect, the principles were slowly eroding. That's what power does to you. I mean, the other day I was here, just yesterday, I was watching, when somebody comes in the new, title, has a new job, then they really do a good job. And in order to do that, they're very strict. So sometimes, can ruffle a bit of feathers because of the approach. So I was just observing. So this is what happened to Lord Krishna as well. His family was overstepping the boundaries. They went to these acharyas and they said that. So the acharyas, they said, oh, whatever this boy is expecting, may he give birth. Not only that, let that birth be the cause of the destruction of the Yadu clan. That was very heavy. So this is Krishna's plan. And I was thinking, wow, he does not tolerate any offense to the Vaishnavas, to the point that he's prepared to sacrifice his own family for that tiny disrespect. Well, we might think it's tiny, but for that small disrespect that the boys did, Krishna decided to use that to finish his entire clan, that curse. That was very, very heavy. So we cannot stress how important it is to observe the rules, that we should respect Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. They are also Lord Krishna's devotees. Is very heavy. That's very heavy. The boys just had some fun. And he said, okay, let's have this curse and let's kill us all. Disrespect to Vaishnavas. So that's Vaishnava Aparadh right there. If you ever come across anywhere that says, oh, give us an example of Vaishnava Aparadh, Lord Krishna didn't spare his own family even. He didn't spare his own family. And another example that came to mind while I was reading is this Leela from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Mother Sachi, she harbored some mental, in her mind only, some negative feelings for Advaita Acharya, Sri Advaita Acharya, due to Lord Chaitanya, because he was influencing Lord Chaitanya away from her. So she was like a little bit not okay with it. This Advaita Acharya, as influenced my son Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So she had some negative in her mind only. She did not display it externally. It was only very slight. But however, it was in her mind, it was an offense. And this was only known to Sachi Mata, it was known to Advaita Acharya and Mahaprabhu. Only three of them were aware of this. So when the time came for Lord Chaitanya to display his pastimes, his kirtans, he was saying very, very clearly, he said, I'm not going to give the love of Krishna, prema, to my own mother. So this is another example of Vaishnava Aparadh. Krishna did not spare even his own family. He did not spare even his own mother as Mahaprabhu. And so he said the only way she can be forgiven is if she gets the dust of Advaita Acharya's feet, lotus feet. So what happened is Advaita Acharya would not do that because he would praise Sachi Mata. Sachi Mata is above him. So what the arrangement was that he would be singing praises of Sachi Mata for producing such a wonderful son as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was praising and glorifying so much that he fainted. He fainted and was unconscious, and then therefore Sachi Mata was able to get the dust of his lotus feet. And once she get that, then she resurrected herself. Everything was fine. So she was able to get the love of Krishna. But the whole point I'm trying to say is Krishna doesn't even spare his own family for Vaishnava Aparadh. That was what I understood from this particular Leela, this particular pastime. And another one that was very, very clear after this was when the story continues, when the saga continues. Of course, they lifted Samba's clothes, and there he produced a piece of iron. So he actually delivered this iron metal, and this was given to Ugrasen. He was the king, and what Ugrasen did, he ordered to have this iron ground grinded it into powder and threw it in the ocean. Threw it in the ocean, and what happened is it washed ashore. It washed ashore the grounded bits, and it came onto the land, and it got mixed up in the soil, and some cane or some plants grew on the land. In the meantime, there was a little bit of a piece of iron left, which was swallowed by a fish, and that fish was caught by this hunter. His name was Jara. And he found this the leftover piece of iron, and he fashioned a spear from that little lump of iron. So he used that as a spear. So what happened is later on, the Leela goes on to say that Krishna he could notice some bad omens in the sky. This is after the Kurukshetra battle, and a few years had passed, and it was the advent of Kali Yuga was coming. So Krishna could see, this is by arrangement of Lord Krishna, obviously. He could see the bad omens. They were like, the sun had a halo around it, and the horizon, appeared to be red, and there were earthquakes. So they were experiencing all these earthquakes, and these are bad omens. Like just the other day, New Zealand experienced an earthquake. I don't know if you know the news. New Zealand experienced earthquake, and they had a tsunami warning just 3 days ago. And we have so many bad omens right now, actually, happening everywhere. So many. So these things were happening while Krishna was there. This doesn't happen when in Krishna's presence. So he could see these things were happening. So what he said, he went to his family, his huge family, and said, there's a place called Prabhas. Go there and do some austerities, and offer some, offer your obeisances and offer cows, and do all this, give gold and cloth to all the Brahmins. So all of his men decided to do that, and he said to the ladies and the children and the old men, you go to another location. So he separated his family straight away. And so these families, these boys, these warriors, they went to Prabhas. Over there they did these penances and prayers. They took the bathed in the river. This is near, I think it is Saraswati River in the west of Gujarat. Yes, in the west of Gujarat. And they did all this there. And they decided to take some liquor. So now we come to the third point. Liquor is never good. Alcohol is never good. That's the third one. Just how, actually Lord Krishna's entire family was destroyed due to intoxication. If you really look at it, it was intoxication. All these warrior boys, his sons, they all drank something. So first they committed Vaishnava Aparadh to the very Brahmins that they give these cows and things to. Then secondly, they go and drink. So they had this intoxication, they were merrymaking. And there was an argument. It started off with, I don't have any reference to it, so I can't say where I got this from, but just from general knowledge, I'm saying Satyaki, he had a fight with Kritavarma and said that you were, in the Kurukshetra battle, you were conniving to kill Draupadi's father and her sons, and you were the one who did it. So basically, they had a fight about the Kurukshetra battle, something like that. It started off like that. This is what I know, but don't quote me on that one. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it. But anyway, there was a fight. And because of intoxication, they started, fighting with each other, and then they started hurting each other, and it was a very, very, very horrible vision. The way it was described was horrible. They hit each other, like Praduman, I think, attacked Samba, was it? I mean, these are family. They just started killing each other. They started bashing each other, and with weapons and arrows. And once that was finished, they started with their hands. When that was finished, they decided to, get the canes from the land that was there, and the iron had washed ashore. And the cane, as soon as they held the cane, long rods, it's turned into iron rods. And they say even the grass, they pull the grass because they were on the floor. The grass turned into blades of iron, and they used it to kill each other. They were killing each other. And not only that, Krishna started, he tried to break the fight. Boys, hold it. And they attacked Lord Krishna. They tried to kill Lord Krishna. This is their father. This is their father. and the grandfather. And not only that, they saw Balram, Lord Balram in a distance, and then they attack Lord Balram. Let's kill him too. That's horrible, horrible situation. Intoxication. So a person who is under influence of liquor can never be doing anything right. That's just I was reading it actually, I realized now, when I was reading it, I thought, I know why I didn't read it before. Because there's no way you want to read how Lord Krishna's family kills themselves. It's really horrible. For the purpose of this class, I read it, but I don't really like to read that part. But they killed each other, and they tried to kill Lord Krishna and Lord Balram also. Anyway, they all killed each other. They all hit each other until they were all dead. They were all dead. And after that, Lord Krishna, when he saw this, he removed himself, and Lord Balram also. They were the only two surviving Vrishni families. Lord Balram went by the ocean, he sat down, and he meditated, and he merged within himself. This is, I'm reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, somewhere, so you can read it from there, you'll find it there. Lord Balram meditated, and he left his body like that. He left. He merged into himself. And when Lord Krishna saw this, he decided, okay, he went and sat underneath in the same ocean. This is near Gujarat, the coast of Gujarat. And he sat there under the peepal tree. He sat there, and he decided to go on a meditative posture. And he got his left leg on his right thigh, and he sat in a yogic position. And the sole of his foot, the pink sole, was showing. Was sitting in a cross-legged way. In his the left leg was on the right thigh, and along comes Jara, hunting. And the point was that the 560 million men died. So you can just imagine rivers of blood flowing over there, and how many dead bodies were there. So why would he be looking for an animal in such a location when he can see 560 million bodies, corpses are there? So just from that point, you'd say, okay, it's arrangement of Lord Krishna, that he is looking for a deer. Anyway, he sees Lord Krishna's left foot, and he thinks that's a deer. So he shoots an arrow. And Lord Krishna, who has fought thousands of battles, killed so many demons, he decides to leave his body just by an arrow touching his soul. It didn't even pierce him. It didn't pierce his soul, the sole of his foot. It didn't even pierce, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam I read. And so he decided to leave his body. Not really leave his body, he took his form with him. According to our shlok here, he left in his original form. He left in his original form. And Jara, the person, the hunter who had done this, came to see it's Krishna. And he offered obeisances. He apologized so many times. Please forgive me, please forgive me. Can you imagine hurting Krishna? We are dressing his deity. We don't want to put a pin anywhere. We don't want to scratch him with a pin. So Jara the hunter, and Lord Krishna said, no, this is not your fault. This is by my arrangement. This is my Leela. And so you will go to Vaikuntha. So he was given Vaikuntha, immediately go to Vaikuntha. So an airplane came, Jara sat in it and flew away to Vaikuntha planets. In the meantime, Krishna leaves, and he tells his charioteer, Daruka, go back to Dwarka, because what's going to happen over there is, as soon as I leave, the sea is going to swallow up the entire Dwarka. So the sea, the ocean, because Dwarka was near the ocean, it's going to be swallowed up by the sea. So you go and inform them that, what's happened to our clan, the Yadus, the dynasty, and tell them about my departure. So Daruka was the bearer of bad news. He went back to Dwarka, and there he saw that the ocean had engulfed all the palaces except for Lord Krishna's castle, Lord Krishna's palace. Apart from that, everything was under the sea. And then Arjun, the Pandavas, he decided to do the cremation. And got them, because all the men in the Yadu dynasty had died. So Arjun took care of the funeral, the pyre. So the ladies, they sat in the fire with their husbands. And they gave up their bodies like that. All these beautiful ladies who are more beautiful than the apsaras in the heavens, they are Lord Krishna's daughters-in-laws and family. They all just sat there with their husbands and they died like that. And the rest of them, Devaki and Rohini, they gave up their bodies on the spot after they heard the news. They gave up their body on the spot. There's more to that story, but we are nearing the end of the class. So this is how Krishna arranged. Krishna arranged for the destruction of his family. And these are the people, his own family. They are supposed to know he is the personality of Godhead. But Lika makes you forget who you are, who your family is, who your close people are, who your beloved is. And obviously it doesn't go in well to team it up with Vaishnava Prad, which is what happened. So that's actually a great lesson for us. When we are, every morning we are sitting here, we say chant, the other day Narsimha Prabhu was here, Narsimha Kavach Prabhu. He said something about mantras, how we recite our mantras. And he said, what are the important points? The important factors to note when we chant our mantras. And obviously one of them is make sure that you avoid the 10 offenses. And one of them is Vaishnava Prad in there. So when we chant, when we say a mantra, we have to make sure we haven't committed any Vaishnava Prad. We have to be very vigilant. But obviously the other, more important than that, is those mantras have to be given to you by a bona fide spiritual master. Then it has effect. So you got to have the backup of your guru to get the Gayatri mantras or get the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But the offenses plays a big role in that. You have to make sure you're not offensive. You haven't committed that. And obviously we don't drink. And our preaching, when we preach to whoever it is out there, we have to make sure that we tell them, don't drink, intoxication is bad, don't eat meat, and the rest of it, the 4 regulative principles. So this was a very great example. Krishna destroyed and removed his own family because he did not tolerate Vaishnava Prad. So we'll stop over there. I think we've gone 5 minutes over time. Are there any questions or comments? Yes. Yes, that is a very good point. Why did great Vaishnavas like Narada take offense? Because normally they are supposed to be forgiving, right? But this is by arrangement. All I can think of is it's by arrangement of Lord Krishna that these curses came into being. Like, for example, even Yamaraj, he was cursed by Rishi Muni because he wrongfully punished this Muni for doing something when he was like less than 8 years old. So the thing is that there has to be some kind of arrangement that this Leela occurs. So when this Rishi Muni cursed Yamaraj, he came down as Vidur. So if Narada and the Rishi Munis had not cursed the young man, then obviously this Leela would not have occurred and Krishna wouldn't have been able to take his clan back. Now in that point also, Krishna deliberately wanted to take his family back because they were too powerful and they were a burden on this earth. So in order to remove the burden on this earth, the Rishi, Munis, Narad, they all play a big role because they have their part in destroying the demons. They help Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, to remove these demons. So while Lord Krishna's family was not a demon, they were still very powerful warriors and they were a burden on this earth. And nobody could really combat them or defeat them. So Krishna looked upon his own men as a burden on this earth. So he used the Rishi Munis. And to be honest, their curse did not, as far as I know, did not counteract on them. So it did not, like when we, it's said that when devotees curse somebody, then the effect is on themselves. So we can't curse somebody actually, because it will have that curse effect will have on us. If I were to say, okay, Prabhu, I curse you such and such, Actually, it won't happen to that Prabhu, it will happen to me. So we are not in that situation, we are not on that level. But these Rishi Munis, they can. And they help Lord Krishna in his leelas, in his pastimes, and in his job to destroy demons. And his family were not demons, they were just very powerful. Yeah. Does that answer? Yeah. This. Yes. Yes. He does. Yes, he does. Yeah, Narad Muni does. He does a lot of interesting things. Like even he created a fight between Lord Krishna and Radharani, because he went and told, this is the Julian pastimes, I think you'll know the story already. He went and incited, Radharani was a bit late for some reason, so she couldn't come and sit on the Jula, the swing. So he persuaded Krishna to sit there with Lalita Devi. So when Radharani came, she saw Lalita swinging with Krishna, just imagine. So it was Narad Muni, he does things like that. And it adds to the spice. Krishna likes it. He wants to get, he wants to experience all kinds of things. And really, the question was why, and this is in a class, my spiritual master, somebody asked, why does he do that? And he said, because he wants to. Because he wants to. We don't know why, but he wants to do it like that. He wants to be blue, he wants to be color blue, so he is color blue. He wants to have this fight and enjoy. He wants to have this lila. To have Narad Muni is like his catalyst. He just goes there. Nothing happens to him, but he makes things react. He's done many times. Narad Muni has done. Yeah. Any other comments or no? Okay. So thank you for listening. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki Jai.